Hey, howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 435. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for some part of Reddit, and we're doing it live. I am your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and co-host, Andy, also known as Sandman. How you doing, brother?
Oh, another Sunday. Last Sunday was fantastic. I sat around. I didn't have to worry about anything. I watched some football I didn't care about. I had zero emotional ties. I went to went into Monday feeling okay, which doesn't happen too often. And then today happened. So, hey, we'll see.
We are potentially looking at 2 top 10 picks this year, my friend. And as Micro Mike says in the chat, we're sitting at pick number 1.
We're number 1, baby.
We're number one. We won't even have to trade one of those top 10 picks away to get a new quarterback. We'll talk about that. We got a lot to talk about today. Today's game, we'll cover Coach Campbell's post-game press conference. He'll be there. We'll have a roundtable discussion about the game, and we'll take your calls live like we always do. Got all that going on, a whole lot more. Great show lined up. Sandman, you ready to go, my man?
Let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
Yay. I think the Packers are still getting beat. Got that going for us.
Yeah.
By the Commodes.
23-21 right now, looking all right.
Commodes got the ball. That's good news. We can look at that. It's always like when you have someone else's demise as the thing you can cheer about. It just says a little something about you, or at least where you're at.
Yeah. That's all we have as Lions fans. We just root for other people's to also fail.
Yeah.
Just one of those, join us in our misery.
Oy vey. Okay, so here we are. Let's talk a little bit about it. I'll say you're going to hear me complain about the refs today. You are going to hear me complain about the refs. The refs are not the reason we lost the game. It's possible, and we've seen it many times, that the refs are an absolute shite show, but we lose anyway, even without the refs' help. There was help, but we still would have lost if we played this kind of a game without the refs. But this was ridiculous. There was so many. I mean, Romo, I actually, in the Slack I was mentioning, I feel like Romo was actually just trolling Lions fans by keep bringing up that interception over and over because he knows how Lions fans seethe about refs and stuff. I think he was just taunting us.
No, I think Nance came out a couple times and was like, that's weird. After, Jefferson got picked up and slammed down. They said, oh, well, Gene Steratore came out over the mic just to us, not to everybody, just to us, and said that should have been a 15-yard flag. And at the end of the day, none of that stuff cost us the game. And I'm sure there's missed calls the other way that we just don't see. But, man, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Every week we see stuff like this. And I think this happens to every team in the NFL, but not on a weekly basis. It's like us and the Browns. It's hard to rationalize and even talk to other fans about it, to be honest. You either experience it or you don't.
Yeah. And it's exactly that. It's this ongoing, just epic kind of this constant hill, right? I mean, the 7-layer dip hill, Patricia Hill, Mount Patricia, whatever the hell we call that. It's in everything we do. Everything is uphill with this damn team, man. Everything. Now, let's talk about some of the good things that happened. All right. The defense came in and played up until garbage time. The defense played pretty well.
Very well.
Completely different than what we saw. I mean, Glenn and Campbell and the redo on bye week and the retool, that was awesome. Can they do it? Was it that they schemed against one team for 2 weeks, or was it that they made fundamental changes? Josh Pascal's back. That was awesome. He was helpful. Hutch got 2 sacks. That was great. D looks so much better. But that offense definitely regressed.
It's insanity to me. We were talking about this a little bit before we popped online here, but we're in such an awkward space as Lions fans because we have a coaching staff that gets it. Campbell gets it. He knows. Thank you, Chris, for the picture change.
Just to help some folks out.
Just help everybody out. But Campbell gets it. He knows what I saw today, I'm gonna have to rewatch the game, but this looked like a complete defensive retooling. This was a different scheme than we've been playing the rest of this year. We saw more cornerback switching. We saw the cornerbacks closer to the line of scrimmage on the outside, helping hold contain. I mean, Okuda, I don't know how many tackles he ended up with, more than 10.
Yeah. He was like 14,
was
I think.
everywhere.
Yeah, Okuda was incredible out there. Much
That's
love.
scheme. Like they made the change. They got together as a staff and said, it's not working what we're doing. We need to do something different. And they did it. And it made a difference.
And the players executed. The players executed too.
The players executed. The problem is that we have so many deficiencies that it doesn't matter how we're not losing the same way every week. We're losing different ways. One week it's the offense literally scores 0. The next week we give up 500 points. You know, we give up insane yardage on the ground. Other times it's penalties. Other times, you know, like literally, if there's a way to lose, the Lions have done it this year. And I don't know how, as a coaching staff, how you solve across the board potential incompetence on like a week in, week out basis.
Yeah.
It's getting crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is like there's so many ways, like how many fingers can you put in the dike, right? With that many holes. And now my brain didn't go there. You be a good boy.
I was laughing about something else.
Logan here. I'm sick and tired of it. It's not the refs' fault. I can't participate in some chats because of it. There doesn't have to be one reason. Admitting the refs are one doesn't mean you're excusing the refs. And this is, I think, just to end the ref conversation here, I guess. It was absolutely one-sided. Absolutely one-sided how this game was called. The Decker holding was bullshit. It was inside the pads. I mean, that's part of the game. It's not. The interception, of course, was one. Campbell, this is the biggest failure, I think, of coaching today was the not challenging that ass spot. Like when the refs were talking, was it a touchdown? Was it a touchdown? And they're like at the yard and a quarter line where they spotted the ball. That was so far freaking off. You see the picture, it's a foot from the goal line. Can't fumble the ball. You know, ahead of that play, Jamal Williams had a 0% statistical chance of fumbling that ball and losing it at the goal line. So that wasn't, you know, what was going on or what was what the reason or whatever. I don't know. Let me get Dan Campbell here. He's on right now.
Before about on the Williams fumble when you threw your headset, was that just in the moment, or do you feel the weight of the season?
No, that was honestly, you know what that was? That was more for the challenge that I didn't get that challenge because I was waiting on it. If you want to know the truth, that's what that was. And then, anyway.
You are a killed guy, though. So, what is your overall level of frustration right now?
Yeah, look, I'm frustrated, but I'm not. I'm frustrated because we're losing. I'm frustrated because of, you know, I'm frustrated from losing, just like I was last year, just like I was anytime I lost, just like I was at New Orleans when we lost a game. And, you know, you don't like to lose games, you know. And but I'm not down, and I'm not losing confidence. I'm not going to go hide in the corner. That's not what I'm about. Because I know you change a couple of things, man. You take care of the football. You play your game plan the way you should, and all of a sudden you win, you know. And so we got to keep this in the true perspective of the fact, hey, our defense is playing pretty good football right now, and we got to continue to do that. And if we do that, we can alleviate some pressure now in all three phases.
Thank you, James.
Or the other two, and now we can start to, you know, you can help your other units out a little bit. So that's why I'm encouraged. I hate losing, but I'm encouraged by that because I know we'll get better offensively, and it won't always be like today's game plan either.
You see Mega Man in the chat say
your
that.
team when there are positive things, like you said, and it just really comes down to turnovers. I mean, can you coach against turnovers? How do you?
Yeah, I mean, we do it every day, you know, and then if, you know, somebody, yeah, I mean, you do. It's a point of emphasis. I mean, we made a point of emphasis on getting takeaways this week. It was a huge point. We got one, you know. We got them in practice, too. So, you know, you just got to continue to reiterate those things. And if you can't hold on to the football, you can't play for us, you know. I mean, it's too devastating, you know. We're not in the position to overcome those.
Maybe tough
to find silver
Is he
linings in
talking
the
about
moment.
golf directly
Justin
there?
mentioned Josh. Kirby obviously had the hit that forced the turnover.
It's awesome.
Aiden had a couple tackles.
Sure
Sacks
did.
today. So your rookies, your young core, I guess. How positive do you feel about sort of what they can be, what they are becoming? Maybe?
Well, you look out there at one point, and there's Hutch, there's Pascal, there's Rodriguez, there's Kirby, there's AJ Parker, there's Mac. You're looking at how young this defense is, and that's encouraging because that's really the nucleus and core of our team, and and I think those guys are going to be pretty good football players and are just every week getting a little bit better. So that's good.
Rodriguez, okay? Saw him go to the locker room.
I'm not sure yet. I'll find out here in a little bit.
All right, there you go. Coach Campbell.
Angry man.
Yeah.
He is fired up. He is mad. He's tired of this shit too.
Yeah.
Excuse the language. But
I excuse it.
This is why I'm struggling with Dan Campbell. I don't know if his coaching is up to snuff, but as a leader and as somebody who I can see he feels the same way I do and that he cares. How do you fault a guy like that?
So here you
He
go.
wants to win so bad. And you can see it. Other coaches that give coach speak that are even keel through all their press conferences. That was always the knock on Caldwell, right? Say he was never high, he was never low. Campbell just lets it out, man, and he'll throw players under the bus that should probably be under the bus.
And that's
I'm interested to see where that goes, but
that's kind of the thing, right? This is Caldwell. How many people are screaming we should have kept Caldwell still today, right? I'll get Caldwell back. People would take him back today. It feels like right now Dan Campbell on his growth curve is a Jim Caldwell that wears his emotions on his sleeve. Caldwell was the leader of men, brought these guys together, got them to play their hardest and give what they had. Campbell has a much worse roster than Caldwell had. I mean, I don't think there's anyone that disagrees with that. He's getting the most that he can out of this roster. Are we, people that are saying toss him out? Are you about to toss out another Caldwell? A guy that maybe has a chance. I mean, and the thing is he's on a growth curve, right? You don't know what you've got in Dan Campbell yet, what he is as a coach. This is hard. I think he did a good job coaching the game today. I think the missed challenge was a mistake. But what they did with that defense, how they retooled the defense, I think that was a super positive. And it all fell apart when the game was already gone anyway. You know what I mean? And I think that's something else at work than the game plan and whatever else. I mean, the fumbles by Goff in particular put some points on the board, but here you go. Riz's article is up on Lions Wire. It's despicable how bad the refs screwed the Lions there. It's a direct quote from Lions sideline voice TJ Lang from the fourth quarter of Sunday's Law. Yeah, it was a wreck. So
yeah, and once again, I think every team, I don't necessarily want to talk about the refs too much, but every team gets screwed by the refs. But it seems like the Lions get it often. It's not a once or twice a year event for them. It's a 16 times a year event, 17 times now.
I had PTSD on the Jerry Jacobs interference penalty. Not that it wasn't interference, right? Because he didn't get his head around or whatever. Yeah. But Jerry Jacobs was just Hitchens from when they picked up the flag. I mean, it was the same play. It's the exact same play as when they picked it up and picked up the flag in the Dallas game. It was face guarding. It was exactly the same play to the opposite side of the field, and they picked up the flag in the playoff game. I about freaking exploded in that moment because I just want consistency. And like the screw ups today were all in one direction. I didn't see a blown call the other way. And again, admittedly, I've got my Kool-Aid, my rose-colored glasses on. I wasn't specifically looking for that. But today was kind of an egregious example of this is, again, when you get you get Vegas involved, you get gambling involved, you got to have transparency. Because something as egregiously bad as what happened today from the refs just makes it seem like this is kind of a rigged deal. This is not, and I'm not saying it is, and I'm not saying that's why they lost. So please stop. These things can all be true. The Lions played poorly, and the refs did this. But, and I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm just saying, again, I work in a business where that you have to avoid even the implication or putting yourself in a position that looks like you could be doing something illegal. This, there's millions, billions probably of dollars at stake going on here, and they don't do anything to put forth the transparency or create an implication or a perception that it's completely above board, and they actually make it seem like it could be messed up. And I think that's a real error on their part. And it's a failure.
And it's I don't know if any of you guys have watched the Tim Donaghy, I think that's his name, right? The NBA ref that was caught gambling.
Yeah.
Documentary. I didn't take away a lot from that. Gambling wise, I don't think there's a lot of NFL refs that are gambling and making money. But during the documentary, Tim Donaghy came out and said that the NBA would come to the refs and specifically let them know, you do not call these certain calls against these certain players. You don't call traveling against Michael Jordan. You don't call blocking fouls against Hakeem Olajuwon. You just don't, because they make us money. They make us money.
Yeah.
And whether that was true or not, I think that there's truth. There has to be some sort of truth to that. That whether the refs are inherently doing it or not, who knows? You have people involved with calling games like this. It's never going to be perfect. But
yeah, the holding call on Anzalone,
and then it's extra frustrating. It's extra frustrating when the Lions play like crap.
On top of it, right?
Yeah,
it was a close game until the fake interception. And then this is so Lions. This is so Lions. And this is where that SOL thing just seats itself and makes itself reality, right? They collapsed after a shitty call from the refs. We saw it with in Dallas with a picked up flag again. We saw it when they were in a playoff game against the Saints. And these are years ago for younger fans. You don't remember what playoff games look like with the Lions, other than it's like a loss. But the teams absolutely collapsed after just terrible calls. And this is like, wow, how does that happen? How does a call every time? I mean, you see good teams overcome it, right? That's what everyone says. But I've seen bad teams overcome bad calls too. For some reason, this team, it's almost like the signal flare goes up. All right, throw it. It's over now, right? And they just, everything goes away. They were solid up until that point, that very moment. They were solid as fuck. I don't know what happened.
And it's like not even that the team collapses. It's like the universe comes together and says, time for the Lions to lose.
Yeah.
As is tradition. Every Sunday.
And fans,
like that Jamal Williams fumble is insane to me. He's fumbled. That's his third fumble ever.
His first lost fumble.
Yeah, and his third ever. That is, what a time to have that fumble when we could be taking the lead in the fourth quarter. The defense has been playing good. All of a sudden, the momentum has shifted, and then it's just football. It's the most horrible cliche, but football is a game of inches, and that's so true. Yeah. It's so true.
The Lions are less than 6. All right, so that's it. That's our moan about the refs. I wanted to get on. Let's get Jared Goff on real quick. He's on the press stand.
Execute when we have to, and starts with me, and it trickles all the way down. But plenty of chances today, and didn't take advantage of them.
Jared, you've said many times before you're not looking to make excuses, but when you lose St. Brown early in the game like that, and you're already down Swift and Chark, how difficult is it as a QB to kind of adjust your game plan on the fly?
Yeah, but we got guys capable of doing it, and those guys obviously are critical for us. But we've got guys, coming in, replacing them that are plenty capable. So I feel confident in those guys.
Walking up late, obviously, so sorry if you already detailed this, but the first interception, what can you just explain or take me through that?
Yeah, I was trying to kind of throw him back shoulder, and just,
kind of trying to.
It wasn't a great throw. The kid made a good play, and wish I would have had it back.
Did you see the replays on the screen at all? Did you think the ball hit the ground?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
The ones late, you chalk that up to just obviously having to make a play, hold the ball longer.
Trying to. Still got a hold on the ball, but trying to. The one I didn't see him. The second one, I got to just hold on to it. But yeah, trying to extend the play and make something happen. But yeah.
regardless of the circumstances. Just goes without saying, I guess, that in general you guys have to be more ball secure, take
Absolutely.
care of the ball better.
Absolutely. Starts with me, and yeah, but absolutely. We take care of the ball today, we probably win.
Talked about Beth St. Brown being really quarterback friendly and the way he comes back to the ball and finds space. Should Josh have done more on that deep ball if you're throwing?
No. He's fine.
You guys weren't on different pages though, just given that you were throwing back shoulder.
Yeah. I think he may got turned around a little bit, but no, he ran the route, and I got to put a better ball on him.
When you have turnovers like you guys did today, and you in particular, I guess, just to speak for yourself, is that about trying to do too much? Trying to
at the end probably. Yeah, the end was, the sack fumbles was probably trying to extend the play a little bit more than I typically would if it was regular flow of the game. But yeah, the second one, we're punting. If it's incomplete, just put it in a place where nobody can get it, if that's the case. And the first one I've talked about.
There are going to be days like this for professional athletes always. So what is your approach to bouncing back from a particularly rough individual performance?
Yeah, it's all I know is come back on Wednesday and really tomorrow, but come back on Wednesday practice and show them who I am. And your character is revealed in moments of adversity, and certainly we've been through our fair share of that in the last couple of years, and this time's no different. So allow them to see who I am and keep fighting.
You guys had a much more conservative game plan than typical today, obviously due to their defense, but no touchdown, second straight game for the offense.
Yeah.
Just I don't know, level of concern if there is any about sort of.
Yeah, just we got to execute. We got down there and we got to finish it. We got to execute and create some more explosives in somehow, some way, and take care of the ball. That's I know it's kind of cliche, but we take care of the ball and we execute in the red zone. We probably win the game, and we didn't.
Paul was beating himself up pretty good in there, just as a leader, a teammate. I don't know. Do you pull a guy aside? What do you say when teammates?
Yeah, he's extremely passionate, right? And a guy who doesn't take that stuff lightly, and there is no harsher critic of himself than him. So you pick your teammates up. I know he's going to be down, as a lot of us are, but you pick him up and be the leader you say you are, and make sure he knows that we got his back.
When you lose a game with 5 turnovers, do you feel like they didn't take it away, that you gave it away?
I think the play that 7 made early was a hell of a catch. They were both really good catches, actually, both interceptions. But yeah, we gave it to him. I mean, again, I think you can kind of separate them a little bit. The sack fumbles were unfortunate, but at that point in the game, trying to extend the play and take care of the ball either way. But the 2 interceptions are the ones that I'd like to really have back and really give us a chance to win the game.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
All right, there you go. Felt like Jared was heated for Jared too, but I don't know.
He knows that he played like crap. I don't think that he has any, he knows. I will say that this is the first Lions team that I can remember where you can tell that people are angry about losing. And I remember back in the day, we used to get a lot of comments on, forums back in the day before Twitter was the biggest way to do all this stuff, or Reddit or whatever, where people would get mad at like Darius Slay and other guys handshaking and laughing after we just got blown out. Mm-hmm. This team is not that.
No,
they'll be cordial, but you can tell that back in the rooms, and that's not leading to us winning right now, which is problematic. But I don't think passion is our problem.
No.
And I would say that the team coming out and looking the way that it did at the beginning of this game defensively, none of those guys have given up on this year. They're all still playing hard. You can say that they're professionals. They're being paid millions of dollars. That's what they're supposed to do. But it's been proven time and time again that that's not what all of these professionals do. Guys give up, guys, phone it in.
Make business decisions, right?
Business decisions. Like we have Michael Brockers that was a healthy scratch today. And that seemed like that was a good move.
Yeah.
And I do want to talk about Pascal.
Yeah. Woo. Why don't you hit that? Why don't you talk about Pascal? Let me give out the number first, and then let's you kind of do a little bit of a thing on Pascal. Give us your thoughts, and I'll man the phones. It's 248-782-8384, 248-782-8384. Give us a call. We'll get you on the show live. And then also you can ping us up if you use Skype. It's Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast. So get in, we'll get you live on the show. Josh Pascal, what's the thought, Sandman? I mean,
I couldn't believe what I saw today. So he's a second-round pick. You have to have fairly high expectations for second-round picks. That's just kind of the way that it is in the NFL.
Yep.
But he came out with a vengeance today. He was disengaging from blocks like the other players had both their hands in casts. He was running to the ball. He was making the proper gap fills. He looked like an all-pro defensive tackle. And then they moved him out to the closed defensive end position when we were in heavy sets. And he crushed it out there. All the things that we were hoping that he was going to look like, he did this game. Now, it's one game out of a hopefully long career, and who knows? And he's fresh. He's rested, but he filled a ton of holes that we've been missing on this defense. He was filling the gaps. He was allowing the linebackers to run free. He blew up a couple plays towards the sideline, which has been our Achilles heel on defense all year up until this point. So, I don't know if it's defensive change a little bit or just him, but man, it was exciting watching him play.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yep. I loved what we got out of him. I absolutely loved what we got out of Josh Pascal today. He was, I saw somebody in the chat say it probably some conditioning issues because towards the end of the game he wasn't there as much, and obviously to be expected, not playing all season. But
he
early
might have
on,
even been on a pitch count.
Yeah, it's very true. But when he was out there, you saw him move, saw him move people, and it helped Hutch. I mean, it helped Hutch. And can we also say, just from a young guy, that hit from Kirby Joseph? Can we just say that was incredible? I mean, I love to see an opposing player doing the windmill impression, but boy, Joseph just spun Brown
all the defensive backs. It looked like a whole new outfit in the back seven. It did.
Yeah.
Like we had Anzalone running the fastest I've ever seen him run. I would be interested to see how fast he got up to on that Tony Pollard, where he outran Tony Pollard to the corner. That's crazy. And then you have Kirby Joseph flying around making tackles. Okuda looked like a man on a mission today. He looked like the best defensive player we had, which is, we need that so bad. we need him to hit so bad. Basically all the guys, like Parker didn't look so hot at times, but he's in a weird spot. It's, our guys aren't necessarily in the best position to succeed right now.
Nope.
And when they do succeed in situations like this, I think we have to give them major props. Like Joseph Kirby looked out of place when he had to take over for Walker.
Yep.
But now he didn't look out of place today. He looked like an NFL safety. And that's exciting. The more young guys we can get coming in that can start contributing year 2, 3, 4, that's where the rebuild, that's how strong rebuilds are done.
Yeah. Yeah. That, and Kirby wasn't supposed to start, right? Tracy Walker's injury got him out there to a point where he had to start, where the team had to have him start. So it's going to take a little bit for a guy like that to get up to speed. And he did well. He did very well today. I've been happy with, even last week he had a couple really good plays, or the week against the Patriots. Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink?
Hey, guys, it's Ben from the UP.
Hey,
a couple of Busch Lights, not too crazy today.
A couple of Busch Lattes is okay. It's just a little something to numb it, right?
That's right.
What do you got for us, brother?
So my first question, do you think the refs were taking revenge on us for Jamal Williams nailing that referee in the face with the football? Because I thought that was hilarious. And
I did want to talk about this. I kind of forgot about it because I got into the swing of things, but I need to see like a blown back view of how Jamal threw that ball, because that ref wasn't even remotely looking towards him, hadn't been looking towards him. It's not like he was looking at him, then turned away to start talking. That made no sense for Jamal to throw him the ball. and hit him
couldn't
right
see
in the
it in the
temple.
replay. I don't know
The
if he
point of the
threw it to
ball.
the other guy, but it direct hit him in the face tonight. I think we should just start more of that.
He was laughing.
To be honest,
he was the ref was laughing about it when it happened. He recognized, oh, that's funny, whatever. But the other guy, did you see how serious he was? And I think it was because he put his hand on his shoulder, was like, sorry, right? And I was like, oh, you can't touch him, right? And that's I think where he got all
I thought that was going to be a flag for touching the ref.
Yeah,
and we were going to be.
I think all Lions fans in that moment were holding their breath, waiting for the 15-yarder and for Jamal to get removed from the game, just for touching the ref on the shoulder to say, "Oops, bonk you in the head."
Oh man, that was great. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, man, because that was definitely. Next time, throw it harder.
look at us laughing.
I think that was my favorite play of the game.
Thanks, Jamal.
What was your second point, Ben? You said you had two things, bro.
Well, how about Jeff Okudah today? That's what I got. He had a hell of a game. I don't know. I watched the end of the Commanders game. Awesome that they pulled it off. And I'm watching San Fran, Kansas City right now, and I think Jeff Okudah just had the first tackle of the game. He's just everywhere today.
Yeah. Honestly, like I'm gonna on my rewatch, I'm gonna watch Okudah very specifically and see how they were using him, because he was everywhere. He was making tackles. I don't think he had a missed tackle. He was in on plays way far away from his starting spot. He was playing hard. He didn't look like a guy on a 1-4 team, 1-5 now.
No,
he did not look like that. He looked like this was a playoff game. And honestly,
I
guys like that are good for your
game.
locker room. Guys like that are good for your team. And for all the crap that I've given the Jeff Okudah pick, and all the injuries he's had and the unluckiness that everything's been, man, games like today really just bring back hope that's not a wasted third overall pick.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, Ben, I appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, be good.
Have a good one.
Stay warm up there, bro.
All right. Yep.
All
See
right.
you guys.
See. All right. Life up in the AP. I loved it. I used to go up to a place called Waters Meat, way out in the west side. It was about 30 miles north of Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin. We just go way back in public land and just camp in the middle of nowhere. It was freaking awesome. Loved it. Oh man. Let's see. I want to talk really quick about. I'm supposed to be good. Don't watch. Okay.
My cat's bothering me right now.
Oh wow. What's the kitty's name?
Coco. It's my mom's old cat.
Oh, meow. Someone was talking about the not challenging the Brock Wright fumble. Look, the thing to challenge there was the spot. It wasn't a touchdown, it was short, but the spot was absolutely horrific. I get not wanting to give up. And again, at that point, Williams had a 0% statistical chance of fumbling that ball. He had never lost a ball in his career. Yeah. So it was just one of those things.
I can't blame anybody for not challenging that. Number one, they may not have even moved the ball. They may have just said, well, he wasn't in, and this is where the ball's sitting. They probably would have moved the thing, but I don't know if it matters. If you're the Lions and you have the offensive line that you have to believe that you can get it in from the one with 3 or 4 opportunities regardless. The Williams fumble is really that's the worst.
That was a knife.
There's no coming back from something like that. You can't fumble on the one.
Someone asked about the suplex. That was a call. I've seen us get called for that. It might have been even in Dallas, I think, when we got called for that, the one that I remember the most. And then there was the hold on the back of Hutch's helmet that didn't get called. No call there. Yeah. Decker gets called for what is not holding by the rules. It was just nuts. The interception that they supposedly review turnovers, and then they supposedly reviewed that in New York, and you can't challenge it because it's automatically reviewed, quote unquote. But it wasn't an interception. It was crazy. Yep. So, but all those things don't matter when you miss your opportunities as a coach to coach the game and as players to execute. You can't let go of the ball. You cannot lose the ball on the 1 foot line. You just can't do that. Well, it was the yard and a half.
We were never going to win this game with 5 turnovers. We just weren't.
No.
And Like, you can say that a couple of those were garbage time turnovers. At least the one fumble was probably. But 5 times.
Yeah.
5 is, that's insane.
5 is too many.
Yep. And I think I saw a stat that after Goff started this year, like, with the best statistical season that a Lions quarterback has ever had through the first 3 games or whatever it was,
Yep.
that he's turned the ball over at a ludicrous rate.
Yep. Although I think it's still fewer turnovers than Matthew Stafford. Hey, caller, what's your name and how much have you had to drink today? Caller? Bye-bye. Lost him.
No good.
All right. Well, that's okay. What do we else we got? Ashawn Robinson got called for the suplex. Thank you, Panda Mine. You are correct. It was Ashawn.
Ashawn did. Yep. And Dominican Sue got called a couple times, but Sue's going to get that call because he was kind of an a-hole.
Yeah. Every time. Every time. What happened to Cephas? Cephas's foot was injured and he's on IR. I think his season is over. I think his career is likely over. I'm not sure he's going to make it and stick anywhere at this point. I think he's done playing football just with all those injuries.
Yeah, we have a bunch of guys that are kind of like that right now. Like, it's and you know, we can look at this offense overall and say that they had an awful game. But Dallas has a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
They do. They have a very good defense. And we're missing 3 of our top 5, top 6 weapons. Once Amon-Ra went out, Swift is gone. You know, and we can say whatever we want about having a good offensive line and that Williams technically got it done between the 20s today, but not really. Not really. Swift adds an extra dimension.
Yep.
And, you know, I talked about it on Twitter a little bit, but Goff's not going to win you games by himself. He's just not. That's not who he is.
Yeah.
He's not a Stafford. He's not an Aaron Rodgers.
But and I hear that, and I know they're absolutely different quarterbacks, but Stafford didn't win it either. I mean, and it goes to that one question, and it's not going to be this year. But what if we win a playoff game with Jared Goff as the quarterback? I mean, do you then say, well, Goff is better than Stafford? Because Stafford could never do it. It's a team game, right? There's so much about the people that are around you, and he needs good people. He needs good people. You need a good team, and right, Khalif Raymond. I'm not sure how many other teams he makes in the NFL. Just start there. Josh Reynolds I think he was relatively cheap for us to pick up. I'm working from memory here. He was not everyone's scrambling for him kind of guy. Chark, we put him on a 1-year deal. That was a good move by Holmes. He's out. St. Brown, my God, the concussion. I didn't even see how that happened. I didn't see at all how a concussion happened to him. That sucks.
Yeah, I think somebody just landed on his head and smoked it into the ground, and you know, sometimes it doesn't take much.
Yeah. Kevin, remember all that big talk Deuce had in the offseason, Hard Knocks, about making Swift play through things and being more tough. Yeah, and I last week he came out on the podium and Swift was talking that way. He's like, I gotta do it, and I'm ready to do it. I want to play, and then all of a sudden the shoulder pops up. It's like iffy. He's got an ankle now. I thought he was out for a thigh. When did the ankle happen? Right? I mean, my God.
Yeah. I think some of that was talking about Swift getting extra yards. Because if you watch Swift early on in his career, if he's running towards the sideline, he's going to get hit. He's going to go out of bounds. He's probably going to go out of bounds 3-4 yards before he needs to. And that's all fine and dandy. But Deuce wants him to power through stuff.
Yeah.
But what we're finding out is that maybe he shouldn't,
right,
because he's on the sideline now with all these little dinger injuries, shoulders, ankles, things that, you know, I don't mind him sitting out an extra week if he's going to come back 100%.
Yep.
But he's integral. We need him every game. We need him as many times as we can get him. And if that means he gets 20 less yards through contact per game, but we have him 16, 17 times, maybe we do that.
Yep. So thank you, Steve Sheddick, very much. Forearm to the head. I didn't see that. Feel bad for Jamal Williams. And then I do too, because that's what he's getting remembered for, the one play. He's getting ridden for one play, and it's the only lost fumble in the guy's career. I mean, it's like, oh, God.
What a time to have it, though. You know, it's never at the 50-yard line or the 20.
Right.
You know, and people, you know, some running backs that just happens. You know, how many times did Adrian Peterson fumble at the one?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on.
Jamal Williams isn't Adrian Peterson. So
There's a lot going on at the line. Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink?
Yo, I had a lot of water. I had half a gallon. This is Q.
Hey, Q, how you doing,
hey,
man?
man.
What's going on, y'all?
I'm coming to see you next week, bro.
Let's go. So actually, I switched my ticket. Glad I did, because I would have literally been caught crying on CBS. Had I went to this game, I canceled my ticket and decided to come to Detroit next week. I don't know, man. I understand that, like, okay, we weren't going to be a playoff team. We weren't going to be that good. But the process of going through this still sucks. I hate losing.
Yep.
I hate being a laughing stock. It's very difficult, man.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, we've been talking about it, and it's the way that these losses are. Like when we're close, when there's one or two plays that you can literally point to and say this was the turning point. Like these losses are almost worse to me than getting blown out by the Patriots. Like those are uglier, but like it just that was a total team loss. Nobody did anything good. It's hard. Yeah, and you're right. We know that we're rebuilding. I thought this was only a 4-5 win team, but it doesn't matter. It still sucks. It still sucks super bad. You just hope that they can turn the corner at some point, and just so far, not so good.
We got someone in the chat saying Dan Campbell should be drug tested.
Man, I like Dan Campbell. I don't think this is Dan Campbell's fault. I just think you can't turn the ball over. I think another thing with Goff, I wish Ash was here right now, but he's got to go. Like, if we don't have an absolute perfect setup for him, then he starts hitting the B button, and it's the same thing. Like, he can't. Like, I think I like the tweet that you tweeted on earlier in the game, Sandman, saying that like he can't win the game for us. That's so true. So, but I don't know if Brad Holmes has some kind of vendetta to prove he's the guy or what. But we need to draft a quarterback.
I would agree, especially if we have a top 3 pick again. Like, this is from what it looks like so far, this looks like a great year to suck. So at the end of the day, we can say we're losing and it sucks right now. But if we're going to suck, this is a great year to do it. You can argue last year was a good year to do it too, because I still feel pretty strongly about Hutchinson.
You could argue there's 60 years of sucking behind us, and we've been doing it great. There's never a bad year to be good. That's kind of where I'm at, and I can see with my own eyes, right? This game, how much this team has improved this week after the bye, and how much better across the board. Coaching, the players. I mean, everything is better. The offense is probably stagnant from before the bye to now, but I mean, good defense on Dallas aside, right? And a couple of crappy calls that didn't go our way, whatever. But I see progress. I see progress with this team. Potentially 2 top 10 picks next year. What a great year, right? I mean, cool.
Yes.
But I'm raging underneath the surface about losing. And of this team just being the constant joke. I'm flying to Philadelphia all the time for work these days, and I've got to hear all those muckleheads gabbing about their team. Drives me bonks, man. When I moved to California, the second year, so the second season I was there. So once you get to know everybody and everything, right, and start talk football and that kind of stuff. Yeah, the Lions 0-16, right? I mean, my whole life, everywhere I've gone, I've worn this freaking Lions tattoo on my forehead, and there's no. It's just humiliating. I'm so tired of it. I know Colin. Shout out to Colin. He was at the Dallas game today. Good to him and his guys. I'm sure they had a good time. Hopefully,
I heard that there was a good Lions turnout there. That there was a lot of fans. That it was kind of loud during some of those defensive stops. So
cool.
It's awesome.
Hopefully, no one got murdered in the parking lot. You know, Dallas, how they are. But
it's just the thousands and thousands of dollars going to these games, supporting this team, and it's just like it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah. That's a lot of Balenciaga boots.
Man, that's, yeah. I mean, and it's a recession fee. I can cut back on the Balenciaga, but this Lions narcotic, man, just got me.
Everybody that's in this chat, same. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's hard. It's hard to quit you.
But
the Brokeback Mountain reference.
But, I get over it. 24 hours. See you guys in Detroit next week. Let's link.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
hopefully
Let's
we
get
can beat
together for
Miami
sure.
somehow.
For real.
Definitely. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Q. Thanks for calling, bro. We'll talk to
See you
you.
next week.
All right, bye.
Yeah. All right, Q. Hold on, we got another one coming in.
Ooh.
Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink?
Hi, my name's Corey.
Hey, Corey.
Corey.
Not a whole lot.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Am I on with you right now?
You are on
This is
right
it?
now. This is the thing.
Well, hello, sir.
How you doing?
Hey, man. Well, man, it's good to hear y'all's voices. I appreciate what you guys put out there, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So, I am a couple drinks deep, I suppose. I always have to eat a edible for a Lions game, just because of the pain in my ass that always springs up. But at the same time, I'm sorry, I got to let my dog in. Josie, my girl, says hello. So, yeah, the big thing for me, man, is like I see all this criticism with, the coaching staff and, fans turning so quick and stuff. And, for me, it's just a matter of, today I think we got a taste of, we got to leave Levi off the board. I think we can all agree that Levi was a bad decision by Brad Holmes to draft him so early with his injury history. It was the COVID year, so maybe there's some excuses to be made there. But I think we saw a taste of what Pascal offers, opening up Aiden a little bit on the defensive front today. We haven't played complementary football yet, which is so unfortunate. I wish our early season offense would line up with today's defense and we'd have some more dubs. But I think, all in all, I think we saw growth from Dan Campbell today in coaching. I think we need to see that. I think we can be critical of some mistakes he's made and also understand that this is a process. And I'm just kind of optimistic because the grand scheme of trading Stafford for Goff is another extra pick coming up. We haven't seen J-Mo yet. And I think anybody that thought this year was going to be playoff contention when they're literally drafting people that can't in the first round that can't play for the first half of the season, no matter how optimistic the expectations were. We should have known that, hey, you know what? This is a 3-year plan, and I'm all for criticizing, coaching and everybody else when they make mistakes. But, and I think there have been definitely some of them, 4th and 9, Minnesota, we can talk about those things critically. But keeping the locker room together is, personally, once the talent's there, keeping the locker room together is more, in my opinion, being the son of a coach of the year in Michigan numerous times, growing up in a gym, all this stuff, keeping the locker room together and having, team camaraderie during a rebuild oftentimes is more important than the occasional mistake, because once the roster is there, the talent overrides the occasional mistake. And we're kind of coming out with dubs and nobody's talking about those occasional mistakes because the roster and the talent is there to overcome those when they do occur. That's my take on this, man. I think everybody's just got to take a breath.
I think this is
inedible like me, man.
This is a great call. This is a great call because I fully agree with you that we all know that this is a rebuild. They can claim, that we're trying to win now and teams should try to win now, but they're definitely not in a position to win now. We've gotten close. We've been tight. But yeah, when you're using, multiple picks on people that aren't going to play right away, that you're going to have to wait on, you're right. Like you can't expect to win now with those types of decisions. And when your top guys are making those decisions, it's because they have a plan. And
exactly
that's the one thing that I feel strongly about with Dan Campbell is that I don't think he's going to lose this team. I don't think he's going to cause this team to fall apart. Now, who knows what's going to
Absolutely.
happen at the end of this year or whatever, but I'm not out on Dan Campbell. I think he has at least at a minimum another year here. But it doesn't make it any easier for people to watch or that are emotionally invested. That
I think you'd never get this call on 97.1 or Woodward. It's way too sensible. And I think there's something.
Yeah, those guys are. They just want to be mad and get clicks, man.
Yeah. Or overly happy, either one, right? But here, Kevin in the chat, it's not a rebuild. There wasn't anything there in the first place. And it's funny because we go back to Holmes didn't use rebuild. He said more of a retool. Right? Yeah. Now, if I think about it, if I've got a machine shop, right? Is retool replacing machines? Like, is that like a ground up versus kind of rebuild some stuff that you got? Like, is it like a replacement of like new tools versus
the building's the same? It's the stuff that's inside is different.
Right. I mean, is that what he meant?
We didn't tear the building down. The building's still standing.
Did we think we're just getting a couple screwdrivers, or did we think we needed the whole assembly line replaced? It's interesting, but yeah, no, you're right. He's going to get 3 seasons. I think Campbell has a growth curve he has to go on. He talked about Sheila not happy. I don't think even in the midst of a rebuild, knowing that you're rebuilding, anybody's happy with not making the playoffs. I don't care where you are. You have a team you want to win. You want to be put together a product on the field that's a win. And that's, like I said, inside, that's the part of me that's raging anger right now. But there's so many good things that are happening on the team. And I think one of your points about holding the locker room together, it's a heck of a lot easier to hold the locker room together when you're winning every game. Right, that just almost naturally happens, and you kind of file the little mistakes. You file on those and work on those and try to make those better. Versus, we're bringing in a whole new machine, right, or a whole new piece of the assembly line, and we've got to make that work. You've got to get the people to buy in and to play along these players, because if you lose them now, you'll never have a culture even as a winning team.
That's my main point. Is basically like, I find that to be a lot more difficult of a skill and an intangible that most coaches do not have. Everybody here, everybody listening right now knows what shape this roster was in. Last year we were talking about how thin the wide receivers are, and look at how deep they are right now. And look at how the Lions offense started. So it's just a matter of taking the good with the bad, and realizing that, we were in, how much money are we still paying for Jamie Collins and Trey Flowers right now? We weren't able. Everybody criticizes our off-season signings. How much money did we have? Next year that's off the books. So I just, the main point though is keeping the locker room together, from a coaching perspective. In my opinion, when you're losing, the talent will come with the draft that we have in front of us. Keeping the locker room together when we're losing, like the point you were making, I think that is personally way more difficult of a coaching ability than it is making the right calls on 4th down every time. Especially when hindsight is in our favor when we're sitting here talking about on the post-game show. I don't know. That's my take, but I love you guys, man. I love what you put out there. I always appreciate appreciate you taking my call, and I appreciate you all the analysis and everything you guys put out there.
Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you saying that, and thanks for calling in. Really good call and a really solid take. Say again. I'm sorry.
CHUPP, Chup.
Chup.
Yeah, man.
Got you.
You've asked a couple times. Yeah, man. I've commented a couple times, and you're like, I don't know how to pronounce it, and it doesn't have an accent over the P, so it's not Chupa. So it's just like, yeah, brother.
Chupa.
Thank you so much.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
All right, man.
What's up, Jim, bro?
You guys take care. Go Lions, baby. Let's kick ass. We're going undefeated the rest of the year.
You got it. I'm there. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. All right, a lot in there. I think this is probably a good piece of perspective. That was a little bit of therapy for me, Sam. I don't know about you. but you're right. I mean, you start thinking about trying to hold this team together at a time like this. It's easy to just look. You want to see Dan Campbell get fired. Have these players give up on him. He loses this locker room, and that's the thing that'll sweep him out. The reason he's employed through next year is because he's holding them together through this adversity, and the people that walk this road of adversity with him and see the turn, they're only going to buy in harder. And again, if you think about what this team was like when Patricia left, nobody wanted to play here. Nobody wanted to sign here. You had no means to draw talent in, and you heard it all offseason with Hard Knocks and everything else. Dan Campbell's the kind of coach I'd like to play for. Players said it; they were all over that. Like, Dan Campbell's building something here. Everybody talks about. They can tell he's building something here. Even, I mean, Tony Romo today, and he has no problems calling stuff out. I mean, that's one of the things I like about Romo is that he doesn't have to bullshit anybody when he's on the air. And he believes, he says, look, they're building something. There's something good. I rue the idea of tossing it out the window because we just didn't have the patience. Especially, people say, it's been 50 years. What do you mean the patience? He's been in this job for a year and 6 games. I think him and Holmes, you just have to see what they do. Could they fail? Of course they could. They could screw it up, and they could be not the answer. But I think I'd rather wait, especially after this long, and see, rather than just keep throwing the dice and like literally just gambling and hoping I pick the winner. Because again, if I make this a place where a coach can't feel they have time to put a winning team together, they're not going to come here. The good coaches aren't going to come here. I mean, you have to, even with GMs, you get rid of with Holmes. Good GMs don't ever interview for jobs. They never.
They already have one.
Yeah, exactly. They're not leaving. So the idea that you're going to pick up some top shelf GM somewhere, you got to make them. You got to see what they have, and it takes time. So I don't know. Sandman. Hey, I got something to ask on the side here. If anybody comes across a PS5, not the digital one, the one with the drive on it, let me know. I need to pick one up for my son for Christmas, and I can't find them anywhere. So if you see PS5, let me know.
All right.
With the drive.
Super chat, Chris, a PS5.
Yeah. Wait. Oh no. That's not how it works. I can pay for it. I mean, if you want to, it's cool. But all right. Let's see what we got here. There's coaches that came with the players and did not pick, even with Stafford. This is one of the things. I know Stafford isn't here anymore. A lot of people, talk about golf, but we didn't do it with Stafford. We didn't win a single playoff game with Stafford. Did we have an 11-win season one year with Staff?
I think so. Yeah.
We had a 5-win season with him too. So much depends on the talent around your players. And to be completely fair, I'm not sure that Goff is the guy, and I'm not saying that he is, but he's the guy right now. I don't care if you would put. I'm just gonna pick Joe Burrow on this team right now, right? He's not gonna do real well, and in brand new Joe Burrow, 3-4 seasons trying to put this thing together with him with bad players, he's probably not gonna grow into the Joe Burrow we see today. I want us to get a quarterback, but I don't want us to break a quarterback. And I think that's where I think at worst Goff winds up being a really, really good bridge into the guy when the guy shows up. And I think this year is the first year we can say, let's look for that guy.
I agree. I think, at the beginning of the year, we could look at Goff and we could say, okay, he's filling the QB role of what this offense needs, and he's doing it well. But then our players around him start going down, and his play starts decreasing along with injured players. So, losing 2 wide receivers is like losing 5 guys because now your quarterback play has dropped significantly. And I think if we're in the position to draft a quarterback this year, we have to do it. I didn't like the idea of doing it last year because I agree with you that putting a quarterback that's new into the situation isn't good. I would argue that where the Lions sit right now is not a bad landing spot for a rookie quarterback. With Williams, with Swift, if Hawkinson is still here, I don't think it's a bad spot to land at all.
Yep.
And I think it's a good place to learn. But, that's part of the process, is especially if you take, if we're going to call it a retool or a rebuild. But if we're taking a quarterback year 3 with the staff, we have to give them more time.
Yep.
If they take a quarterback this year, Campbell's can't be fired. If you fire Campbell, you can't do that.
Yep. And that's probably part of the 6-year contract.
Everybody admitting.
Yeah.
We're still building.
Yep. So here we go. On what team is Khalif Raymond your number 1 receiver? But other than the Detroit Lions, right? Number 2 today, Brock Wright.
Yep.
Number 3, you finally get to your tight end, TJ Hawkinson, then Craig Reynolds, then Tom Kennedy, then Josh Reynolds, Jamal Williams, who I'm not trying to be mean, but that guy can't catch a ball if his life depended on it.
What's up with that?
And then lastly, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Because this is what do you do with that? What do you do with that lineup of receivers? I don't care if you're Goff or Stafford or somebody or Burrow or anybody, right? What do you do with that lineup of players? It's not that, Stafford made Cooper Kupp look good, right? It's not that Burrow's making that wide receiver pack look good. He's got good players to throw the ball to, and it's all of them are part of the equation. So it's tough. It's tough. But yeah, Kennedy and Raymond or Wright and Raymond as your top 2 guys just kind of belies a real problem of your team, top to bottom.
Yep.
All right, let's see. I begged everyone to point out a place. If you know where I can get a PS5, it's Chris at DetroitLionsPodcast.com. There's an email, or you can DM me or hit me up on Twitter looking for that PS5 with a drive. All right, let's see. Got that. What else do we have to cover? We got the officials. I had my moan about them. Oh, God. I fucking hate them.
I did want to talk about briefly the 2-point stance for Hutchinson. He looked so different. And I saw it in chat, actually. I don't know where it is. It might have been a while back. But having a power defensive end in this scheme is a necessity to allow Hutch to move to the weak side and be in a 2-point stance where he's not wasting emotion getting from his hand up to his rushing position. He's already in his rushing position.
Yep.
You could argue that a 2-point stance is not good versus the run, and I would agree with that most of the time. But he looked completely different. And then just the addition of Kaminsky coming back and being able to be a power defensive end on the other side, and also Pascal being able to swing out when needed and do that, really allowed Aiden to move to where he needed to be an impact player. And I mean, we saw 2 sacks.
Yeah. 1.5 officially.
And we can say like, oh, he disappeared for some games. He has, this is a great defensive end year for anybody, let alone a rookie that this is his first year out on a team that doesn't have any other defensive line help until this week, you could argue.
Yeah.
So, I think it's exciting. And that's another one of those things that points towards this coaching staff looking at everything. Like literally, I think it was Justin Rogers came out and said, hey, I've had people on Twitter saying to me, Hutchinson was in a 2-point stance like 95% of his plays at Michigan. That's where he succeeded. How come you guys don't do that? And Dan Campbell was like, we thought about that, but maybe it's time for us to look into this a little bit more. And then literally the next time that we come out and plays in a 2-point stance the whole game, basically.
And balling.
Like, I literally can't remember another coach that was making on-the-fly adjustments that were this noticeable ever. It's such a weird place to be.
Do you remember 7-layer dips adjustments at halftime? Like literally.
Yeah, it was harder.
It was his belt loop. He loosened it up one, right? I mean, literally that was the extent of the adjustments. It was terrible. This is a whole new thing. It's interesting. I mean, you talk about going from one to the other, and you wind up sometimes it feels like maybe they're just swinging a pendulum. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink?
Hey guys, it's
Flounder, how you doing, bro? Thanks for waiting, man. We started talking. I picked you up and we started talking. Then I'm like, wait, what's that noise in the background? I'm like, oh shit. so
It's
sorry,
cracking
bro.
me up, man. I'm just listening along, having a good time. Had a huge 22-ounce cider and a Oktoberfest, and just loving the life, man.
Nice. Okay, so you
Hey,
are
I
the
appreciate
voice.
I appreciate it more when you let Andy be in a 2-point stance. Could you put his 2-point stance picture back up for everyone? Because I think that's the right way for him to play.
I got you right now.
Yeah, actually, that picture is a perfect representation of my 2-point stance. That's what Hutchinson looks like on the line. That's probably why he gets good.
I'm thinking that's more like
literally
Ragnow.
Hutchinson's 2-point stance.
I thought that was more like Ragnow.
When,
Right?
when you see that coming at you, you're going to feel like you've won every time. Hey, man, look, everyone needs to keep in mind this game, this was such an emblematic thing, right? The Lions can beat the injury bug, or they can beat the officials, or they can beat the other team. They can't beat all three at once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the offense has nobody on the field. We're starting a bunch of practice squad promotions. The defense has just gotten a couple pieces back and lost other guys. And the officials decide to do a Dallas special again and just fuck us every chance they get for the whole game. What do you expect the team to do with that? You can only coach your way out of so much.
Yeah.
Like they were in it they were in it within a score for 78 or 80% of this game. Give them a break, guys.
Yeah, no, it's it was definitely too much for this team to overcome. I just go back, like I said, I'm looking at the stats. Someone said, you shouldn't need a dream team to be a quarterback, but you got Khalif Raymond and Brock Wright are your top two receivers on this team today. That is like you're putting, college players up, right? These are guys that don't make another NFL team probably. Brock Wright maybe,
You
right?
feel like
Maybe,
you're watching Major League.
right?
Yeah.
Who the hell are these guys? I don't know. They're still shitty.
No,
So,
it's 100% true.
Hey, I love you guys.
The only way
I'm
to
gonna hang up
overcome
and
all
just
these
listen, but I just wanted to
deficiencies
chip in there
are
and
to
just
have
say-
massive talent.
Hey, I'm going to hang up and listen. Love you guys. But everyone, please keep in mind that this team is thin on talent, really hurt right now. And the coaching staff has done a pretty good job of adjusting to what they have. Well, let's just hang in there and say, hey, man, let's go Lions. Remember, next year's our year. Let's just do our best this year. Love you guys.
You know a great way to hang in there, Flounder?
Thanks.
Love you, brother. All you got to do is go to fanatics.detroitlionspodcast.com, get yourself a Hawkinson jersey, and you too could be hanging in there with Lions fans. And if you don't want to, that's cool. You can get your Michigan or your Michigan State stuff. You got some great stuff going on. I got some sweet Florida Gator shoes. And they look really. I will wear them on to the game Sunday, Sam. And they look really cool. I really like them. My son makes fun of me, but I don't care. But all kinds of great stuff. They take a little bit out of the profit pocket from Fanatics, and they put it in ours when you go to fanatics.detroitlionspodcast.com. Thanks everyone who does that. All right. Woo! All right, we'll throw the number out there one more time here, quick, so people can get a shot. 248-782-8384. 248-782-8384. You can be part of the show and join and be one of the callers as well. 2-point stance obviously worked for Hawk today. Hawk gets shut down too easy when he's game plan for. He should have had 10 to 12 targets. Yeah, Hutch, sorry.
You're just reading.
Hawk. Yeah. They're all in 2 points. Oh, sorry. Hawk gets shut down too easy when he's game plan for. He should have 10 to 12 targets today. There's something about Hawkinson, and I like the guy a lot, right? Mm-hmm. But there's something about him where I don't know if he's not performing at his best. He's not schemed in there at the best for him. I have a sense that we're not going to be signing for him because he's going to want more than we're going to be willing to sign, more than we're willing to pay that production. If those words.
Yeah, and honestly, he doesn't really have that a lot of production. You know, he has when he is the number one target, when he's the only guy out there, he can produce like he did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not a game-changing tight end. And to be fair, there aren't many game-changing tight ends.
Yep.
You know, you have like Kelsey. Kittle was one for a little while. You could argue he's not even necessarily one that much this year. It's a hard position to play. The real downside of Hawkinson is that he was drafted 8th overall. That's the real bummer of the Hawkinson situation. He's a second rounder. We're pumped.
I was just going to say, we've broken the second round curse.
Yeah. But no, Hawkinson it's going to be interesting to see what happens. If he comes back on a friendly deal, I'm super pumped to have him here. I think he's a weapon. I think he's versatile, but I definitely am not going to pay him top. I don't even know if I'd pay him top 5 tight end money, maybe 8 to 9. I don't know.
Yeah, 5 to 10. I'm in 5 to 10 versus 1 to 5 on him, and
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to want that, right? And I don't say it's bad for a guy to get his money. If he can get paid, go get paid, right? Go do it. I hate it. I like him, but so he's good. He's good. Hockey isn't game changing in Detroit, but it also no doubt I could see him joining a strong team and having a career year, continuing the SOL narrative, right? I don't think that's going to die. I really don't think SOL narrative is going to die until we win a couple of playoff games. I really don't. And potentially you have to go all the way to the Super Bowl, right? I don't, and that's probably a conversation that we could have maybe as we get to the off season. What would it take to shake the SOL narrative for this team? What does this team have to do to shake it? Not saying they've earned it now, right? That's fine. But what do they have to do to shake that narrative? That's an interesting question.
They got to beat the refs, the other team, and the injury bug all at the same time. We got to get the floundericious triple covered.
The triple flounder.
All right, like a dive that would happen in a college movie.
Really quick, just want to do the thanks everyone for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button at minimum. I mean, you're here, you're watching it. Appreciate you doing that. And if you can hit the like button, that helps us out. Helps other people find us. Helps us do all that kind of thing. Also, if you subscribe, you get to see more stuff. That helps too. So if you can, we always ask once per show only. So please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe and help us continue to grow the show and the channel and help other people see what we do. We appreciate you folks who are doing all that. Thank you very much. All right. With that, Sandman, let's wrap up. Let me get your take on the game today. Where are we, and where are we going from here? I mean, we're about to stand up against oh God, who are we playing next week? Oh, Miami. Duh.
Miami.
I'm gonna be there. Yeah.
No, we're in such a weird spot. I honestly don't know where I would even say that we are. I think that the staff is doing the right things, and then the players are letting them down. And then the players are doing the right things, and then the game plan lets us down. I think we haven't seen a complete game yet, and I would like to see a few before the end of this year, just to show that we can do it.
Yeah.
I think, a game like today is kind of this is the epitome of a Detroit Lions football game where we're in it. We're in it until we're not.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the floodgates open, and then the game is blown out. And we stand no chance.
Yeah.
I think this is the same game I've seen 400 times. And we need to get out of this funk, whether that's getting injured players back. Like, let's see what happens when Williams comes back. Let's see what happens when Jerry gets, more than just a couple weeks worth of practice, get some game time under, but yeah.
Arouarier played well today. I mean, our corners played well today. That's one of the a nickel, except at nickel.
Yeah, AJ Parker looked a little rough today, but honestly, CeeDee Lamb is a tough cover in the slot, and really that's when Parker was exposed, was in that scenario.
Yeah,
and that's kind of hard. I don't know if I blame anybody for that, but too much.
You could cover him. You could do it. No, I feel good about the progress of the team. It's the W's, and this is where my frustration lies, because that is the ultimate measuring stick, right? That's the ultimate stick for success and progress and all those things. And this team has to pull some W's out. The defense, the Dallas defense, is really good. They're really good. We played a really good defense and we scored 6 points, no touchdowns. That's a little disturbing after what we saw earlier this season. We watched the Packers lose to the Commanders today. The Packers are on a massive skid. These are going to be interesting games. These are going to be good games. The Lions-Packers game this year, because I think they're well matched. The Lions actually have a shot to beat them both times. To be honest with you, if this is what the Packers are right now, what we're seeing out of them, interesting stuff. And a couple divisional wins, if we're going to pull wins, those are the ones. I mean, think about and again, I'm not saying this is going to happen. Please don't think I'm drunk, people. But imagine the Lions pull out a sweep on the Bears and a sweep on the Packers this year. I mean, so you're a 5-win team at the end of the season. How do you feel if that's how you got to your 5 wins? I'm kind of liking it myself.
Yeah.
Those division wins like that, God. I mean, and it's a division where you can do this. It's as Logan says, the NFC North is finally wide open. I mean, this is the chance to do it. And if you want to solidify that the rebuild is working and you're doing the right thing and you're pulling it over, here you go. Beat the Bears, beat the Packers, get those divisional wins, and F Minnesota, like I screamed last time we went to a game, Andy.
Right into that guy's ear.
Yeah. He was such a nice guy, right? I mean, just sitting there quiet with his, oh, God.
Somebody was getting the animosity. He was the closest guy.
Oh, David says I'm cute. Thanks. You're not so bad yourself, sugar lips. Minnesota smoking the division. Absolutely, they are. They are pushing in everybody's stool. All right, with that visual in hand, don't forget Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. And also, we'll get into this. Don't forget about us on Patreon. We love you being involved. We got the very, very best chat in Lions land, the most respectful and wonderful chat. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. You sign up for at least $5 a month, and you'll get access to the Slack chat. It was pretty interesting today because there was actually disagreements about the refs, whether it's the players, but it was still pretty respectful all the way through. In the heat of the game, I was impressed. Most folks were very well behaved. It's a great place to go. You can disagree with people, have different thoughts, different opinions, but you can still get sound takes and sound people working together and stuff. So I enjoy that, except Kenyon. He's high during the season. Also, follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast, and at Sandman7773. Sandman 3 7s and a 3.
Nailed it.
It's the best place to hang out with some of the coolest cats you'll find on Twitter and rise above the dregs that make up most of that platform. Give us a call via Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us on the Lions line, 929-33-LIONS. It's 929-335-4667. And be sure to come to Detroit Lions Podcast and subscribe to the podcast because, Andy, you know what we do when they do that, right?
I do. We're going to come into your ears automatically.
Ooh. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time. I really meant it. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time with the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems. Because we're your Detroit Lions and someplace on Reddit connection.